everybody, it is Sukasa, and welcome back to my Sins of the Solar Empire Rebellion tutorial slash walkthrough. Yep, took me a little break while I uploaded the video from Twitch to YouTube. It's processing there, hopefully that works without any errors or anything. And made me some lunch, burned the fuck out of my arm, making some cheese toast, and and now I'm back. We're gonna work on the next episode here. Boy, the last episode was really rich in information, threw a lot at you with the UI and fleet management. This episode is not gonna be too much different. I'm gonna explain planet development, planet building, planet colonization. There's a lot of information in these first couple of episodes. It's gonna be really dense. A lot of beginner stuff that I just gotta fill you guys in on, and gradually as the episodes go on, more and more, it's gonna be less beginner stuff, more advanced tips and tricks, and that just gives way to more of a playthrough let's play. But these first couple episodes, boy, they are dense. A lot of words, man. It's already killing my throat. You might think I'm an outgoing person. I'm not at all. I'm an extremely shy guy. I'm very introverted. If I'm not making these videos, I say barely anything at all. Like, in the last week, aside from the last video I just did a minute ago, in the last week I've probably said about 3 paragraphs worth of words total for the entire week. I don't talk a lot. Like a Buddhist monk, I only speak important things. But yeah, anyway, enough of that. So, there's one thing I did forget to cover last time when I watched the video. I did want to mention one thing about the UI here. The black market, I forgot to mention. Obviously, you can buy and sell through here. I mentioned that before, but each time you click to buy or click to sell, either metal or crystal, it does it in 100 increments. So if I want to sell 100 metal, I click the button here. Now, later on in the game, as you progress, you're going to get, you know, if you're not paying attention, you might accrue like 2,000-3,000 metal, and if you don't need all that much, and instead of having to click every time to sell 100, if you hold down shift, it will transfer from 100 to 500 increments. So that is a pretty nifty little trick there if you want to sell or buy more than 100 at a time. Just hold shift and it will go to 500 increments. So anyway, now back to the action here. Let's see, we got our
I'm already
setting up there and go over here. Okay. Now, my ships are done building. Good. Okay. The first thing I want to talk about here is strategy. Obviously, this is a strategy game, so I'm going to clue you guys in on my own personal strategy that I find works extremely well. My initial colonization strategy, I call it. One of the main reasons that you want to send out your scouts as soon as possible, you want to find out what type of planets are around you, and you want to see how these phase lanes work themselves out. Obviously, it's different every time. Each planet could be connected to up to like 5 other planets, or they might only be connected to 2 or 3. And some rarely are only connected to 1. So you want to find out how those phase lanes work, and you want to find out what types of planets are around you. Obviously, the phase lanes, so you can come up with a defense strategy, what I call finding choke points and setting up a front line or frontier planets, as I refer to them. So that's obvious, but why would you need to know the planet types around you? Well, that's because not all planets are the same. As I've mentioned before, you start out with a Terran type planet. They're more of a balanced type planet. They get a good amount of everything, not really deficient in anything, but they don't really excel in anything either, aside from population. They can hold the highest population, and populations are where you get your credits from. The higher the population on the planet, the higher that planet's tax income as far as credits go. But the other planet types, some of them are more specialized. Every planet type has a specific bonus. Obviously, Terran, as I said, is population bonus. Bellerophon over here is an ice planet. Ice planets' specialization are its asteroid resources. They are crystal. A Terran-type planet, as you can see, has 2 metal and 1 crystal. It might be different. I believe your starter home planet is always 2 metal and 1 crystal, though. But other ones you might find out and about, they might be 2 crystal and 1 metal. But they're a mix of metal and crystal. Ice planets, on the other hand, are always only crystal. And volcanic planets are only metal. Desert planets are another one you can find. They're similar to Terran planets in that they have both types of resources. Same with these dwarf planets. They can have both. This particular one only has 2 metal, but it could have metal or crystal at it. And this asteroid type planet is a mix as well. Now, the real planets, as I call them, the Terrans, the ice, the desert, these are full-sized planets that allow you to house a larger amount of tactical and logistics structures. Whereas the smaller planets, the mini planets, like the dwarf type or the asteroid type, they are rather limited in the amount of population they can hold, the amount of buildings you can build at them, and so on and so forth. They're good starter planets because you grab them quickly and get them up and going quickly, but as far as in-game, they don't hold a lot of promise for development. You can't go too far with them. So it's good to keep an eye out for the different types of planets around you. Agamemnon over here is a shit planet. Much like the namesake of the person, is a shit person. It's a shit planet because it's not really a planet. In this case, it's an asteroid belt. Not to be confused with an asteroid-type planet. Asteroid belts, as the mouse over shows you, are not colonizable. You cannot colonize them and build them up and build structures at them or anything like that. However, you can see it does have 2 asteroids at it. It may have asteroids, it may not. Normally they do. In this case, it's 2 metal. It might be metal or crystal. But you're thinking, okay, if I can't colonize it, how do I take advantage of those resources? This is where the Protev colony ship comes into play. It has a special ability. Aside from planet colonization, it can also colonize these asteroid belts, resource asteroids. It's the only way to get them, unless you are the Visari. The Visari's scout ships have the ability to pick up these non-colonizable asteroid resources. So it really makes them a pain in the ass when they're near you, because if you go out here and take these and then don't pay attention and leave, their scout ships are going to come and take them from you. It's so damn annoying. You have to station like a couple of light frigates at it. But anyway, the ability to capture these resource asteroids is one of the main reasons why you want to build a colony ship at some point. I'm going to do that right now because I have enough resources. I'm going to train that up. Now, that takes all of my fleet supply. In a little bit, we'll cover how to get more of that fleet supply. But for right now, you don't want to expand that, and I'll fill you in on that in a bit. But we're going to let that cook. Another reason why I want to build one of these colony ships is for its planet colonization. You're thinking, well, you said your capital ship can do that, the Econ can. That is true, but I'm going to split my fleet. This is part of my initial strategy. I split up my fleet into 2 groups. The capital ship and these 3 cobalts I'm going to send up here to this dwarf planet because it's pretty easy. It's only got 2 guys defending it. I want to blow through that real quick. So, make sure I got this hotkey. I'm going to select the fleet with the fleet tab icon there. Hold Control and hit 1. That is my own system. That's my primary fleet. So, select them and
we're underway.
Right-click the planet up there to send them to it. Now, here's leads me to my next point I want to talk about is the detail of how the phase lanes work. As I said, you can only go between these gray lines from planet to planet through the gray line for the most part. It's true, but where you are in the gravity well of a planet, where you make that jump, is a 1-to-1 correlation to where you will land at the planet you're jumping to. So as you can see, this phase line right here, this gray line, is the one that leads to here, and it comes in here, right? So if I jump from this side of the gray line at that spot, I will land, my ships, once they get here, they will land at exactly the corresponding spot on the side of this gray line. Now, this can be important because, you know, if I were to have had my ships over here and then made the jump, they would land right here. Now, the reason that is important to keep in mind is later on, whenever you're going up against the enemy, and not just pirates, random pirates, but the actual enemies, like the Vasari or whatnots, if they have an entrenched planet with defenses at it, you really got to send your scout ship in first, check out where those defenses are laid out, how they're laid out, and plan accordingly, because you can really get your ass handed to you and get your fleet ripped up bad if you do it wrong. Let me give you an example here. Let's say right here they had a starbase and a bunch of space mines and some defensive cannon structures, some defense platforms. If all of these are, you know, amassed right here, and my ships jump in from this corner and land directly on top of them, they are foobarred. I'm gonna lose like half my fleet almost immediately. So you want to, you know, scout ahead and keep that in mind. And when you're sending your invasion fleet in, come from the opposite corner over here, so that way you land outside of that starbase's attack range and use your longer range siege frigates to blow it up, rather than endangering your entire fleet. We'll go more into the tactics of that sort of scenario later on whenever we encounter it, but it's just something to keep in mind right now that it's a 1-to-1 correlation. Alright, so those guys are going to jump in one at a time. It's not a big deal. Like I mentioned in the last episode, you can group them to jump all together if you want, but there's not much of a threat there to warrant that. I'd rather be quick about it and get it done. So, once these guys jump, that will leave me... Alright, these...
Give the order. Got it.
Okay, these 5 guys, I'm going to create a new fleet out of them.
Job for me? Give the order.
Call them Control 2. That would be my secondary fleet. And I'm going to have them go over this way and take this planet over here. So I'm splitting my forces to grab as much territory as I can as quickly as possible. That's where the siege frigate's going to come in handy, because my main battleship, my capital ship, is going to take this planet and then move along to here and take this one and so on and so forth. And while that's going on, I want my secondary fleet to be able to colonize. So that's why I need the colony ship.
Got a job for me?
I'm going to move them down here, have them jump in to this place here. Let me go back to action here and set this. Alright, so now they've jumped in as they were supposed to in that exact spot. And as we can see, due to this plus icon right here above my capital ship in the Empire tree, and whenever I select it, it's got the 1 right here in the ability management. That means the extra level that I purchased has finished its timer. The next one is ticking up, according to that yellow line, and I can buy another ability. For my second ability, you have 2 choices. For the Econ Battlecruiser at least. You can either do the Ion Bolt or the Targeting Uplink. Both are good, however, the Ion Bolt is freaking amazing. It is probably the best ability of any ship in the game, in my opinion. It is one of the primary reasons why I love the TEC and why I love the Econ Battlecruiser. If you're on top of things, this can be just unbelievably powerful. How this thing works is, as you can see in the mouse over there, it's got a high antimatter cost, and it doesn't last very long, but it's for 3 seconds. It will completely disable whatever ship you hit with it. Its abilities, it won't be able to use special abilities, it won't be able to move, it won't be able to jump out, it won't be able to shoot its weapons, nothing. It is completely disabled, and that is so powerful. Whenever your fleet is attacking an enemy fleet that also has a capital ship, if you strategically spam this skill on that other capital ship, you can rip it up and keep it from escaping, which is key. If whenever the enemy's capital ship gets low, whenever it's down to like half hull and no shields, it's going to try to run away. And chances are it might be able to get away. But if you pop this ion bolt on it, it's not going anywhere. So you can keep it from escaping and ensure that you blow it up. And nothing hurts an enemy empire as much as blowing up one of their big expensive capital ships. So that's why I love it. And that's why I'm going to buy it. Your other option here, it's a good skill, don't get me wrong. The targeting uplink is good, it's just not good right now. Because what it does is increase the weapon range of any ships within that purple circle. Now, that doesn't really help me right now because I don't have any long-range ships. Here pretty soon I'll be buying the prerequisite thing so I can build the long-range missile frigates. And this will be an awesome thing to have once I get the missile frigates, but not going to help me so much right now. So go ahead and buy that ion bolt. And like I said before, they automatically come with autocast enabled. I do not want that enabled. I'm going to turn that little roundy round thing off, right-clicking it, and the mouse over says disabled now. The reason for that is this thing, it takes 85 antimatter every time it shoots. If you have autocast enabled, every time it's off cooldown, it will shoot at a random target. I don't want it doing that. I don't want it wasting its cooldown. I don't want it wasting my antimatter, because as you can see, I have like, 295 antimatter, but it took almost 100 just to jump into this system. So I need to conserve my antimatter, because, once the battle's over, I'm going to go colonize this, and that takes 90 antimatter. I don't want to have to sit around and wait for that. And, if this is a big battle, I don't want to risk not being able to jump away if I, was almost dead. Also, I don't want it getting used on a pissant little light frigate when I want to spam it on the big capital ships or the big cruisers. I tactically use it, so I would recommend disabling it as well. Save yourself some heartache. So anyway, that's the ship abilities that I didn't get around to covering last time because of time-wise. But that's how that works. And I'm gonna take these guys, and the fighter squadron is very powerful when attacking siege frigates and LRM missile frigates. So I want it to do that. It can really rip up those two types of ships. They're okay against these Cobalt Light frigates, but they're not extremely powerful versus them. So what I'm going to do is tell the rest of my fleet to attack the Cobalt Light frigate by right-clicking on it, and manually select that fighter squadron, right-click for it to attack the siege frigate. And just to demonstrate this ion bolt, as you can see, it's got a range too. Whenever you mouse over it, it can only hit things within that purple circle. So now that that light frigate's within it, I will left-click, and then left-click the ship,
for combat.
and then it shoots the ion bolt, and boom, it is completely disabled and can't do anything.
Secure the passengers.
And then I have to right-click the ship again. It's really weird. Once you use your ion bolt, your capital ship forgets what it was attacking, and it will start attacking randomly a different ship. So you have to tell it to attack again once you use ion bolt. It's weird. It's like a bug almost. It's been there. It's day one though. All right, my scouts. Here we go. Using a volcanic planet. Like I was saying earlier, the ice planet only has crystal. The volcanic planet is the type that only has metal at it. And this is a really good one. It's got 4 metal asteroids. I'm pretty sure 4 is the maximum. 4 of any type of resource is the most you can have at a planet, so that's awesome. Now, the downside of the specialized volcanic and ice planets is you can't colonize them right off the bat. They require a as you can see the mouse over, it needs the volcanic exploration researched to colonize. And the ice planet's the same way. It needs Arctic exploration research to colonize. So that's going to be one of the first things you want to get done on any map. It's it's why you want to send out those scouts, find out what's around you, so that way you can plan out, you know, do I need to build the Arctic one first, or do I need to build the volcanic one first? Which one you want to research? So, excuse me. As you can see, the other scout found a desert planet. That's the one I was telling you about earlier. It's got a mix of both asteroid types, but it gets a bonus to, I believe, logistics slots. It gets extra logistics slots. I could be mistaken about that. Once I colonize it, I'll remember. But anyway, they're a good planet to have. They don't have quite as much population capacity as the Terran planet, but they get a pretty good population bonus, and they're a full-fledged planet. You can really develop them pretty far.
Looking for something.
Let's have 8 go up there, and
Where
7.
to?
1, 2, go here. That's a really close one. Boy, he's getting hammered. Oh my god. Oh, the guy's there. Crap.
Point me in the right direction.
Oh crap, he's gonna die. No. Die. Shite. Battle going. And it's going good. And that's the building. No. Okay, here we go. My colony ship has finished. I'm going to call it Control 10. One thing to note, non-combat ships like your colony frigate or your scouts do not automatically get put into fleets, so they don't get mixed up with your fleets if you have auto join enabled. It's a pretty nice little feature. Also, if you were to manually zoom over everything in the gravity well, you can see it's not selecting the Protev. It's only selecting my light frigates. Another neat little feature, so you don't accidentally send non-combat ships to their death. So that's something to keep in mind. You have to manually select it. If any other ship is caught in that window when you left-click drag, it doesn't grab it. It has to only get the non-combat ship. Anyway, so what I'm going to do with that is send it this way.
Yes, Commander.
And get it prepped for jumping in.
What now?
Well, my second fleet, I'm going to go ahead and jump them.
Yes, sir.
Go. Jump them to that planet.
Base jump underway.
Now, what I don't want to do here is jump that colony frigate in. There's a couple of reasons for that. Colony ships are, as I said before, they got some pretty big downsides to them. They're very, very slow. They move across the gravity well slower than most any other ship. They jump very slowly. They take a long time to spool up their FTL. And they're also pretty weak. They got a decent amount of hull points, but they have practically no shields. But the big problem with them is the way the AI works. They are extremely high on the AI threat table. So what that means is if you jump into a contested planet where there's enemies of any type at it, those enemies will immediately stop doing whatever they're doing. They'll stop attacking your fleet and head directly for your colony ship and blow it up. And if you can't kill all of the enemies immediately before they start attacking your colony ship, chances are you're going to lose that colony ship. And that's a big hassle. So you do not want to send that sucker in yet. You want to just get him up to the edge and ready to jump and
Give the order.
and send him in later. Oh good, the combat's done here.
Reporting in.
So what we're going to do here, now that there's no more ships left, we're going to tell it to colonize this planet just by left-clicking twice. Go. And then
Scouts have found a colonizable
he
planet.
will fly his happy ass to within the purple radius there. Once the planet's within that purple radius, he colonizes. Oh, sweet, it made it. Oh, good, good. That is an uncontested place with no enemies, so we can regen. Awesome. This is a planet square type that's kind of like the asteroid belt down here. It's not colonizable. This one's called a wormhole, and almost always there's no ships here unless like it's an enemy faction. There's never any pirates here. So it's a good place to stop and let your scout regen some hit points and shields. And it's a wormhole, as it's called. I mean, it's right in the name. It's a wormhole. It sends you through to another spot on the map. They're fixed wormholes, so what that means is this wormhole has a identical wormhole square planet that's somewhere else on the map. It might be in this star system way over here where I haven't found yet, or it might even be in a different star system. So, like this wormhole right here that the AI guy found, it might connect to that one. So he could travel through this wormhole and pop out at this one. And that route is fixed. It will always be that wormhole to that wormhole. However, we cannot traverse that yet until we get pretty far along in the research tree. So we'll cover that like in the next episode.
Reporting in.
Set him to colonize.
Point me in the right direction.
Just noticed his
How
final
can I be of service?
rank that I purchased is done. So what I'm going to do here with this third rank that I purchased and the final rank is you might be tempted to buy that third skill, but don't do that. Don't do that. Like I said, it's not useful until you have the LRM frigate. What you want to do is you want to upgrade your other abilities. As you can see next to the name, it's got a number. All skills, all abilities can be ranked up to 3 levels. So you can have, level 3 of this, level 3 of this, level 3 of that, 9, and then only 1 rank of this super ability. So your capital ships then go to 10 ranks, and that's how that works. So you want to upgrade your colony to rank 2, or your colonized to rank 2. The reason for that is plain as day in the mouse over. The extraction rate bonus that the skill gives goes up from 33 to 55%, and the free extractors goes from 1 to 2. That's the reason why. This planet has 2 resource asteroids, and just by using this colonize skill, I need to cancel this. Don't you do that? Okay, here we go. Don't mess that up. All right, I want to be sure to buy this first. So once I buy this, now I will get both of these resource asteroids.
Where do you need me?
Will get their extractors built automatically and for free as soon as I colonize, which is amazing. Saves me like 500 credits or more.
He's under attack.
And also for what is it? Yeah, 360 seconds. I will get a double extraction bonus from this planet, which is freaking awesome. So that's the reason why you want to use the con battleship to colonize planets early on as much as possible for those bonuses. But just spreading out and getting as many planets as quickly as possible is more important. So that's why we're splitting up and doing two teams. What's Team 2 doing?
I'm on it.
Pretty good. Okay. Yeah, we're just
A new colony
gonna wait on that Protev colony ship. It's just gonna
has been founded.
shield the edge.
Point me in the right direction.
Oh, good. We found another wormhole here. So, I mean, technically, probably doesn't, but it could go from this wormhole to that one. Chances are it doesn't. I'm gonna let that scout regen some shields there. And now we have our first colonized planet. Woohoo! All right. So that moves us along to the next topic I want to cover, which is planet development and the extremely important topic of civilian infrastructure. All right, so basically, every time you capture a planet, the very, very first thing you need to do is obviously check and see if there's any resource asteroids that need to be built. For example, if there were 3 here, which there's not, but if there were 3 here, my colonized thing only gives me 2 for free, so I need to buy the 3rd one down here in the action bar, go to logistics structures, and buy that 3rd extractor. You need to check on that. They're 250 credits each, not too expensive, but you need to make sure you get that up and going. The next thing you need to do immediately is upgrade its civilian infrastructure. And you do all your planet development through this green window down here called Develop Planet. Derp. As you can see in the mouse over, it's got civilian infrastructure out of 2. That may be different depending on the planet type. This one's 0 out of 2 because the planet type that it is. It's a dwarf planet. If it were a Terran type planet, it would have 4 out of 4. Or if it were a desert planet, I think they get 3 out of 3. These little asteroids, the asteroid planets, they only get 1. So what the civilian infrastructure correlates to is its maximum population. And as I said before, your population is indicative of its tax income. Now, the reason you want to upgrade this immediately is because there's a penalty for unpopulated planets. And whenever you mouse over your resources up here at the top, mouse over your credits, it tells you in the mouse over down there at the bottom that your planet income. Now you see my capital planet is gaining an income of 12.6 per second. But this new planet I just got, it's 1.6 per second, but it's in red. What that means is I'm not gaining 1.6, I'm losing 1.6 per second. So because I haven't upgraded that civilian infrastructure, it's actually giving me a penalty. Now this could really hurt you if you didn't know it and you just went around colonizing planets and not upgrading them. You're going to really get screwed over pretty quickly by this tax. And the way to make that stop is to, civilian infrastructure and upgrade. Just click on the Develop Planet window in here, and the first option is the civilian infrastructure. It will change the development tax from being a negative 1.5 to being 0. So you're not losing anything, but you're also not gaining anything. So you really got to keep that in mind, and remember to not to colonize unless you've got the 450 credits, 150 metal, and 75 crystal. You know, don't even do it. Don't even think about it. Just leave your colonizer sitting there. Wait for your resources to tick up, and then do it. Then colonize it, and immediately buy this infrastructure thing. Super important. So I'm going to buy the first rank of it. Excuse me. Excuse me. So, now to get into positive territory, where this planet is actually giving me money instead of flatlining, I need to upgrade it to civilian infrastructure rank 2. So, since I've got the funds for it, I'm going to go ahead and queue that up. You can queue up multiple ranks at once. I don't have to wait for this to finish. So now it's queued up with both of them. The first one will finish, and then it will start the second one, and that will finish. And that will max me out, and it will give me a positive income. Some of the other things that we need to talk about in developing planets is, most importantly, is planet health. Now, whenever you mouse over the planet, you can see that the planet health is currently 314 out of 1,000. That's because I just colonized it, and that's ticking up. Once it gets to 1,000, it will stay there. Unless enemy ships come in and start bombarding the planet with siege frigates or capital ships. Now, if I can't kill them and shoo them off before that reaches 0, it will go down with every hit that they bomb it with from 1,000. Once it hits 0, that's it. I lose the planet. The planet doesn't get destroyed per se. It'll still be there, but it will no longer be my planet. And I will lose any upgrades I've done to it. I will lose control over any buildings, any frigate factories or research stations I've built there. And the enemy will be able to colonize it themselves and take everything from me. And then they will gain access to any of the buildings I've built there, which could be disastrous. The only exception to that is, I think, star bases. They don't gain control of the star base if you have any star bases here, but we'll talk about those in detail much later on. Now, the way to increase your planet health is in here in the Develop Planet window. It's called Emergency Facilities. It will raise your planet's health, as you can see by the mouse over there, from the base 1,000 to 2,500. This can be a very, very important thing to do, depending on the planet where it is. If it's a frontier planet, and you know, like, let's say this volcanic planet was owned by an enemy AI faction, or an enemy player even. If that was the case, then I would definitely want to upgrade this emergency facility immediately and get as much health on it as possible. You want to shoot for at least 3,000, or in this case, with it being a dwarf planet, it can't go beyond 2,500. But if it were a full-size planet like this volcanic one, it would start with 1,500 instead of 1,000, and its first rank then would be 3,000, and the next one after that would be 4,500. You want to upgrade that to at least 3,000, if not the second rank of 4,500 hit points, so that way you've got some breathing room to send a fleet in, to shoo them off, or, you know, to do something to get them to stop bombarding your planet before you lose it, if it's a frontier planet. In this case, because I'm not planning on this being a frontier planet, I'm going to leave it alone for right now and save my funds, but it's something to keep in mind. The Explore Planet button right next to that is not important at all early on. You want to do that eventually, once you have enough funds, once you have your empire set up, so to speak, and you've got your basic research done, you've got your basic fleets built, you've got your other planet stuff built up, you've got your buildings built. I mean, that's kind of further along the line. What the Explore Planet does for you is it may or may not find bonus artifacts and planet bonuses that this planet could have, some of which can be extremely powerful, like give your empire 20% faster ship build rate or something like that. But another reason you don't want to do this early on is, for one, the cost of it, and for two, if you find an artifact of your planet, every player in the game gets the notification that you found an artifact at this planet, and it will be high on their hit list of coming and taking it from you. So until you can defend that planet, if there may or may not be an artifact there, you want to wait on that. There's a good chance that you'll just explore this planet and find nothing, but in the off chance that you do, you want to be able to be sure you're at the point where you can defend it from an enemy armada. The next two building options down here are pretty damn important. They're your bread and butter, your logistics capacity and your tactical capacity. As I think I said in the first episode, all buildings are broken up into two options: your logistic structures and your tactical structures. The logistic ones are your research stations, your ship factories, your resource extractors, the trade ports, stuff like that. They're your, like, civilian buildings, you could say. The tactical structures are your defensive things, your military buildings, your Gauss defense platforms, your strike craft hangar bays, repair platforms, you know, proximity mines, stuff like that. Now, every building that you build has a cost to it in supply, kind of like how your fleet supply works, but it's either logistics capacity supply or tactical capacity supply. Now, the tactical ones vary in cost, anywhere from 1 tactical slot for the Gauss defense platform, 4 for the hangar bays, 2 for the repair platform. It varies. And the super cannon's 18 tactical slots, so they kind of vary depending on the one. But the logistic structures, your civilian buildings, they're all the same. Every single one of them is always 4 slots. So that's really easy to remember. Now, you don't start out with a whole bunch. What you start out with is, again, dependent on the planet type. For the dwarf planet, it starts out, as you can see the mouse over there, 0 out of 5 for tactical and 0 out of 6 for logistics. Meaning I can build, like, 1 hangar bay and 1 Gauss defense platform, and then that tactical will be maxed. And I can only build 1 logistics spot, and then I'll have 2 slots, but all logistics buildings are 4, so I can only build 1 building here. To get that up in capacity is in here in the develop planet window. You can see the mouse over there, it takes it from 6 to 12, so then I'll be able to build 3 buildings instead of just 1. It costs money, it's expensive, and it takes time, so you don't really want to do this really early on. There's another main reason for that too, is there is something in the research window in the civilian line that will reduce the cost of logistics slots, as well as increase how quickly these developed things happen. So I tend to wait on the logistics slots for that. And tactical capacity, I'm going to wait on that because I don't have the prerequisites for most of these. You can see I can't build a hangar defense until I get the research or repair platforms or anything like that. But just so you guys know, that's how you do it, and that's how the slots work. Another thing about the logistics slots, whenever you upgrade capacity, it also gives you an extra constructor ship. And constructor ships do these little things right here. Whenever you place a logistics building, it's the thing that flies over to it and starts constructing it. So, having extra one allows you to build more stuff quicker. Alright, so that pretty much covers developing planets, the logistics slots, and how those work. The first buildings you want to build right off the bat, once you go out and colonize your first planet, you're gonna upgrade its civilian infrastructure and all that. You're gonna have a little bit of funds left, probably, or once you do build up to have enough funds, you want to start building your research buildings, and in particular your civilian buildings. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. I like to put my first 2 research buildings at my home planet, so they're nice and back and defended, and I can build both of them right off the bat. As I said, at this first planet here, I can only build one thing, but there's room back here at your home planet to build 2. At least there used to be. Let me show you one of the neat new, not so neat in my opinion, new features in 1.5. I don't know if you noticed this, but I have 2 frigate factories here. I did not build that second one. As a matter of fact, everyone starts with 2 frigate factories now, which is a good thing and a bad thing. They said in the patch notes that, quote, it significantly helps AI players. Okay, cool. If it keeps them from getting their, shipbuilding log jammed up and messes up the AI somehow, cool. I like that. Fix that by adding 2 of them. Nice, simple fix. Neat. And the other cool thing about them is having 2 factories means your ships build doubly quick. So you can build up ships faster. That goes twice as fast. The not so cool thing about that is it's eating up 4 of my logistics slots, and I don't need that. In my opinion, you don't need 2 at your home planet. You want to expand as far out as quickly as possible. I want to get out here and get this volcanic planet and make that a frontier world. The frontier planet, as I like to call it. That's going to be my front line out there. I don't want to have to be sending my ships all the way from back here to up there. I'm going to build a frigate factory up there. And if it's in a really dangerous spot, I'll build my 2 frigate factories up there. I really don't think you don't need 2 of them at your home planet. If you're at the point where you need to build ships quickly at your home planet to defend your home planet, you've done lost the game. So what I'm going to do is what I showed you in the last video. I'm going to scuttle one of these and reclaim some of my slots, as well as some funds. It'll take 30 seconds. But once that happens, then I'll have enough logistics slots here to build 2 buildings. I have enough right now for 1, so I'm going to go ahead and plop me down a building. The 2 research buildings I would recommend going with, strongly recommend, are Civic research stations. The reason for this being is these volcanic and ice planets. How I said you need Arctic or volcanic exploration to colonize them. That's in the Civic research line, and it requires you to have 2 Civic stations. So that's why I would highly recommend building those 2 right here at your home planet. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. Looks like this is a pretty defensible spot over here. Now, here's a cool thing I want to show you too. As you can see, there's a bunch of numbers in here. And that means that there's that many of that building at this planet. You see there's a 2 at the top, in the top right, for my frigate factories. I mean, there's 2 frigate factories here. And you can see that there's a 1 here next to the Civic research, but instead of being in the top right, it's in the bottom right. The reason for that is that it's in the bottom if it's being constructed. If it's finished building, the number is in the top corner. Way to be able to see if something's done at a glance and whatnot. Anyway, just something I've noticed over time that I thought I'd fill you in on. This fight's about done. What are we doing here? Let's get these guys over to this planet.
What do you need to know?
Still healing. Okay. I'm not done yet. Gosh, almost a few seconds. Dun-dun, and scuttle.
Planet development finished.
Alright. Let's build. Oh, we are out. Bristol. Crap. Crap. Well, I know what that means. I'm gonna have to find me a planet with some more crystal resources. Oh, man, this got one, that one's got one. Crap. Alright, so I guess that means I'm gonna be getting the Arctic exploration first so I can get those crystal planets. Alright. So, screw it, just buy it. Get this going. Civic and Civic. Alright. Going here. Secure. Healing. Fighting. That's the guy.
Forces are being attacked.
Alright, since that's about blown up, let's go ahead.
Go ahead.
Here's something I forgot to mention. Again, all your ship's abilities come auto-cast. I highly recommend right-click that to disable it, conserve your antimatter, and for example, this is a siege frigate. If that colony ship were within range and it automatically colonized, that sucker is going to turn and start bombing your planet. Depending on the fleet makeup and what's going on at that planet, you might end up immediately losing that planet. This thing takes a lot of the skill takes a lot of antimatter, and it's got a long cooldown, 2 minutes. So I'd be sure to always disable that thing. Since he's almost dead, though, I'm going to go ahead and tell this guy to come in and colonize that planet. Alright. And, okay. Here's another cool thing that, that you might not know. As soon as you build the research stations, you can, if you have the funds, queue up the required, or not required, but the tech that you want to research. So because it requires me to get the Arctic, I can go ahead and queue up the research for it, even though the buildings haven't finished building, if I had the 600 credits, but I don't. But that's one neat feature to keep in mind. It doesn't start the research before the buildings are finished, but you can queue it up so it will immediately start as soon as you get the building made. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And what's my income? Yeah, see, look at that. 0.9 in crystal, 2.6 in metal. It's crazy. Let's sell some metal, buy some crystal, even it out a bit. Okay. Now my main fleet has jumped in. Okay.
A sound plan.
You guys, no, go
Accelerating to attack speed.
Bring the fighters to the siege frigate.
Planet development finished.
And guys, kill him. The light frigate. Alright. And go. Go on, pick up quicker. Dang, only 0.5 credits for that planet. It's still taking up population. As you can see, your kind of like your planet health, your population is only 20 out of 50. That slowly ticks up as well whenever you first colonize, so you don't get the full amount of income right off the bat. It slowly goes up, so it's only 0.5 right now. It'll probably only end up going to like 1 or 1.5 because it's such a small planet.
Got a job for me?
Let's get these defensive fleet moving
down.
out, because that's kind of a dead end. Which is a good thing. I'm gonna take advantage of that and put some research buildings or something back here. Ah, dang it! It's a freaking regular asteroid. It's a shame that's not a real planet. If you do get a situation where you have a full-size planet, like an Arctic planet, with no other route except for to your home planet, load that sucker up with research buildings. It's an excellent protected spot, and you won't have to worry about losing those for the most part. I mean, if they make it past your home planet and start killing your research planet back in the corner, you've lost. Alright, so let's go ahead and upgrade this. That will
Structure complete.
cancel the tax. Alright,
What
so
now?
I think that just about covers this episode. The covered capturing planets, developing planets, the underdevelopment tax, how logistics slots work, how to upgrade that, the Civic research stations, how to build those. Yep, so I think that's pretty much it for this episode, and what we're going to talk about in the next episode is go into some pretty detailed details about how research works, all the different things you can research. You know, I briefly mentioned that you need 2 research civic buildings to get the colonization stuff, but that doesn't even scratch the surface. So, yeah, next episode I'm going to go into detail about all the cool things you can get and how important it is. So, yep. That's it for this episode. I do hope you enjoyed and you found it informative and you learned something. If so, and you did enjoy, then don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe for more. Until next time, though, this is Sukasa signing out. Have a good one.